Signal, JFK 1962. Luke Hillhouse, Sound and Atmosphere. Sound communicates atmosphere as effectively as an image. Audio does not function as a background element. It constructs the room. The experiments shifted my thinking away from producing individual flat images. The work demands immersive experiences. Future environments require consideration of moving image and physical installation space. Open quote. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. President John F. Kennedy. Close quote. The ambition forced technological progress. The goal served to organize human energy and skill. Physical limits dictate the requirement for new tools. First, nature. The project examines how people navigate rapid change. Nature and technology increasingly overlap. Second nature. The work moves from outer space to subterranean landscapes. Ideas are structured across three spaces. Third nature. It considers invisible infrastructures connecting contemporary society. Perception changes through communication and mediation. Audio Io1. For the Io project, I wanted to set myself tasks that were not only based on drawing, painting, and traditional A-level art processes. The following section of my Io project is a multimedia digital audio experiment. I wanted to create research and narrative work that was not only visually based. For this project, I used audio software and sampled recordings to create my own presentation based on the Race for Space events of the 1960s. Reading the 1962 speech reveals the massive scale of human ambition behind the moon landings. The ambition of that historical period provides a logical starting point for understanding subsequent technological progress. Why this section matters. This section is a separate audio experiment. It uses Cold War speeches, space race music, the Sputnik signal, and audio editing as evidence for my portfolio. I started with Kennedy's moon speech because it gives the work a clear emotional starting point. The speech is not only about space, it is about choosing something difficult because the challenge shows what people are capable of. In this section, I wanted to show how a political speech, a satellite signal, and a piece of music could become raw material for visual and audio work. I experimented with audio as a research tool. I took inspiration from Public Service Broadcasting's album The Race for Space, which uses archive recordings to tell the story of the race to land on the moon. I found this useful because it helped me understand the scale of ambition behind this moment in history. I then focused on Sputnik, the Soviet satellite that became the first man-made object to orbit Earth. I created a 30 to 40-minute music set using sampled speeches, historical recordings, and space-related audio. The second half of the audio uses 6 different versions of Public Service Broadcasting's track Sputnik, including remixes. I separated the tracks into vocals, bass lines, rhythm, and instrumentation, then used different software to build my own version from these parts. The album makes a clear creative choice. It does not use traditional lyrics or singing. Instead, the music is built from archive recordings, speeches, and radio transmissions taken from historical events. These sounds create the atmosphere of the work. I started to see audio as a tool that could be used to create more immersive art experiences. Public Service Broadcasting. The Race for Space. This album captures one of the most defining periods of human history, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. The music uses real archival audio from the events. It transforms scientific progress into an artistic expression. I like how this album combines history and creativity, using music to educate people. Sputnik. The idea of using Sputnik's signal to drive the song itself came relatively early on, as did the idea of trying to give the song a more general atmosphere of pulsing electronic menace. For the Americans to hear the Soviet voice broadcasting from orbit above them must have been deeply unsettling. Equally, for the Soviets to know it was up there must have been both awe and pride inspiring. I like the way it is mixed in with the music, but is not that obvious. I only found this out during the research for I.O., even though I had heard the song before. Mixing process. Mixing relies on a delicate balance. The process demands constant testing. Certain combinations fail completely, while others dictate the atmosphere. Some audio layers recede into the background. Other elements command immediate attention. Public service broadcasting are useful to my IO project because they do not treat archive material as dead history. They sample voices, broadcasts, and technical recordings, then rebuild them as rhythm, mood, and storytelling. Reaper allowed me to work vertically. The main DJ mix became the bass layer. Split edits sat above it. AI generated speech, and smaller samples were placed like signals passing over the top. This made the audio feel closer to architecture, foundation, structure, surface, and atmosphere. Reflect on, the Io1 Race for Space section was a successful experiment for me. It made me think about how non-visual material can support visual art, or even replace it to create a different type of experience. This felt useful when working with complex historical events, where a single image could easily become too much, like an infographic or educational poster. This may help me in future work if I use sound in interactive games or installation pieces. Learning how to produce, manipulate, and control audio has shown me how sound can enhance an experience. It was also one of the most enjoyable parts of the project.